We are here again with the International Press Conference, a project started a few months ago. I will ask everyone to put your computers on mute. Thank you. And we are very happy to have all of you here with us. As I said, we started this project a few months ago due to the COVID-19 crisis. We used to have delegations of journalists coming to Israel almost every week. And fortunately, because of the COVID crisis, we can't have you here with us. So we decided to send pieces of Israel to you on a weekly conference, a press conference. Each week we talk about a different issue that we think is relevant and interesting to all of you. And this week is one of my personal favorites. We'll talk with Ambassador Ilan Ajzen, who is the Deputy Director General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the head of Mashav, which is the Israeli Agency for International Cooperation. Einat, our Ambassador Schlein, has a long career in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I'll mention only two of her last postings. She was the Ambassador of Israel to Jordan, and she was the Deputy Director General in charge of African affairs, of the relationship Israel and Africa. And since we are limited in time and we have a lot of people that will talk today, I'll leave the floor to Einat. Einat, thank you so much for joining us. The floor is yours, and we'll, at the same time, I'll admit some other people in. Just unmute yourself, and we are very happy to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Lior. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon from Jerusalem. I'm very glad to be here today and talk to you about Mashav, Israel's International Development Agency. I'll share a presentation in a minute, but I'll just say there are lots of international development agencies which belong to foreign ministries. Many countries has them. What's unique about us? We are small, which makes us very flexible. And our brand name, we do a lot of things, but our main characteristic and our brand name is based on building human capital. This is what we do. This is what we've been doing already for 63 years in various parts of the world. The one anecdote which I think is really illustrative in this regard is the fact that this agency was founded in 1958 when Israel was, I would kindly ask everyone to put themselves on mute. Thank you. Mashav was founded in 1958 when Israel was still a developing country. Now, of course, we're fully developed, but in 58 we were still developing, but we already started our own development agency in order to share our experience. So we're very glad to be doing this for so many years. And that's why we put all of our efforts in the human capital, which we believe is the real building stone of any society. So let me share some slides with you, and I'll talk a little bit over the slides, and then I'll introduce some other guests. And for some reasons, I cannot share my screen. So whoever is on it, please do something about that. And I'll continue speaking. So
1 second, we try.
Post disabled participant screen sharing, that's what it tells me.
Okay, I'll see to that right now, just 1 minute.
Okay, so I'll continue talking. Anyway, this is the spirit of sharing our knowledge and learning from others is something which is very basic also in the heritage of Israel and the culture and the Jewish nation and so on and so forth. We've been doing this all over the world. All in all, we are working tirelessly in order to train people and to build partnerships. Hopefully, I'll be able to show you the data on slides in a minute, but I'll just say that I think another strength of us beyond building human capital is the fact that we're always looking for partnerships. We have a lot to offer on our own, but first of all, we believe we can learn a lot from partnering with others, countries, UN agencies, NGOs, local, international, whatever. I think that together as people who are interested in development, we can achieve a lot more. We can share, we could build coalitions and get to new places, which is
hey, Max, sorry to disturb you. Can you try again to share?
Yes, here we are, and I'll be sharing in a second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, now you can see, right? Somebody say yes, please. Yeah. Lior, can you see the presentation? Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll skip the introductory slides, which we already talked about. You know our name. You can see it at the back of my image. And all in all, our mission, you can see it, as I said here, it is to empower people. It's to build human capital and to share because together we can really achieve sustainable development, which is our goal. So in this regard, we are based on the vision of our forefathers, which you can see right here. For those interested, we could share these quotes later. Yet, all in all, we've been doing this, as I said, for many years. We started in Africa and spread our wings around the world. And these are the various countries in which we operate. And at a glance, really, over the years, we trained over 330,000 people from all over the world, from 140 countries. That is, you can see the data on your screens, but each year in normal years, we train about 5,000 people. Half of them are trained in Israel in training courses in our training centers, which I'll introduce to you in a minute. And roughly 2,500 we train around the world, where we send our experts, be there for short time missions or people who are posted abroad. And we train people on the spot. We build projects. We do a lot of international development in various sectors. When I talked about a normal year, I meant before Corona, of course, before COVID-19. When the pandemic started, obviously it was very difficult to continue our work, as if we invest ourselves in human capital, in capacity building, we couldn't bring anyone here and we couldn't send anybody abroad. So we reinvented ourselves within weeks, and we moved all of our training activity into the virtual world, which was challenging, yet apparently very successful, as in 2020, we more than doubled the number of trainees, and we got people for full-term courses from all over the world, including people from countries which didn't used to come to Israel, either because we don't have relations with these countries or that it was too far away. And it was very successful. However, there is nothing like learning in Israel and also getting the experience and firsthand experience of seeing and understanding Israeli techniques and technologies and innovations. And I'm very happy to share with you that last week we reignited our training, our physical training courses in Israel. And we have a hybrid program, which involves training courses in Israel and also still a lot of online activities. That is also beyond our projects and humanitarian assistance, which was a major area we concentrated in 2020. Due to the COVID-19, we still do that, but we try to put our focus now back into building capacity building. So we are very committed to the UN SDGs, all of them, but we are focusing our efforts on 8 sectors, which you can see in front of you. All these are our major area of concentrations, and we work tirelessly to promote them, offering tailor-made courses, set agendas, and set courses, and so on and so forth. So whatever topic we talk about, be it food security, which has to do with also with climate change and climate adaptation to the climate change, not mitigation, and water management. All of these are things that Israel excels as due to our own experience in development, the geography in Israel, and so on. We're happily sharing our knowledge in this regard. Of course, this is very these skills are of great demand around the world. When we speak of education, we work with we train people that are educators for the young and for the old. In general, I would say that our major rule is train the trainers. When we bring people to be trained in Israel or we train them abroad, we don't take newcomers and we don't take very senior people. Normally, we train those who could actually continue to spread the gospel, to teach everyone in their own vicinity and continue develop with us. When we do, once we train people, and it doesn't matter if they come to Israel or we train them over there for 3 weeks or for 3 years, we keep in touch with them. We have networks of graduates all over the world. I'm very proud to say that most of them keep in touch with us. We learn from them, they learn with us for years and years, and many of them have reached senior positions in their own countries. One example which immediately comes to mind is a recent guest in Israel, the president of Honduras, who was here just 10 days ago. He's a graduate, Mashav, 30 years ago, and he still remembers it. And he's very, and we were very glad to hear that he mentioned it, I think in his third sentence, as he started speaking here. So we do a lot of public health courses. Now we focus on pandemic. I'm sure you're all familiar with the fact that Israel is very advanced in vaccinations and in dealing with the pandemic. We're happily sharing our skills. This has to do with our health system, which has developed for decades already, but became very useful during the pandemic. And we do a lot of training in this regard. We did a lot of training online, but last week, for example, we had a training course titled Pandemia, in which we brought here a full delegation from Colombia of physicians and directors of hospitals and so on and so forth that were with us for a week. They met all of the people of the immediate responders of Magen David, which is like the Red Cross or the Red Crescent. And they met people in our hospitals, and they looked into the systems by which we dealt with are still dealing with the pandemic. So this is just one example of the things that we do. We're very strong in community resilience. Unfortunately, our history and geography brought us into places that made it necessary for us to challenge the changes and to deal with people who were traumatized on the one hand, and on the other hand, to use every capability we have in order to build our own nation from scratch. So issues such as gender equality and community resilience are things that we excel in, and these are one of the things that we do always. I spoke of gender equality and women empowerment in the same regard, whether we speak of, we have a whole line of trainings which are and projects which are focused in women empowerment and the empowerment of youth and indigenous people and so on. Innovation became a very strong brand of Israel and Mashav in the developing world. If in the 70s, Israel used to be known for our oranges and for the sun, I recall an old tourism slogan, which was follow the sun to Israel. Now I think people follow innovation to Israel. And when we speak of innovation, one thing to talk about is really, people say, how can you teach innovation? You should either be born with it, be creative, and if you either have it or not, and that is not the case. You could learn how to be innovative, and most important, governments can and should prepare themselves and prepare the public to innovation by creating national ecosystems which are accessible and friendly to innovation. And we actually teach how to do this. We've done this very successfully with both with developing countries and with developed countries. Another current example, right now, as we speak, we have a training course which is going on in Israel for North Macedonia. One of the participants is actually the Deputy Prime Minister, dealing with innovation and the building of national ecosystems. We're going to have a similar course with the same topic for Ghana next week, following a 3 years training program which we had in Ghana on innovation. So that would be their terminating tour, or the summary of their 3 years. They're coming here and they're going to see it all with their eyes. But when we speak of innovation, it's not just about preparing new apps or preparing space voyages. It is also innovation in agriculture. It's innovation in education. Innovation is a very important ingredient of training and our lives in every aspect that we can think about. Research and development, of course, are the tools that create these platforms. So all in all, I wanted to say humanitarian assistance. I mentioned this before. We have distributed a lot of humanitarian assistance throughout the years, and especially in the last year. If we have time and people would be interested in that, I would be happy to talk about it. But we do anything from installing ICU units, which we did in dozens of places around the world. We also try and create spaces for people with disabilities, be it for educational reasons or for mobilization. Corona-wise or COVID-19-wise, we have distributed lots of equipment in this regard, but this is not a new thing. We work hard and try to work with our partners to make this a better world, and these are not empty words. So all in all, just to give you a summary of how we work, so you can see all these areas. We work with countries, we work with UN agencies, we work bilaterally, trilaterally, multilaterally. We have short-term and long-term consultancies. We have multilateral cooperations. We have dialogues. We bring together senior forums. We do all of this and more. We also give grants to our graduates. As I said, we have a very wide and prolific network of graduates, and when they come up with interesting projects, we support them. One of the people that will be talking to you here today is a graduate of Mashav, which actually won one of these grants, and she'll tell you what she's done with it. Now, I spoke a lot about training courses in Israel, but of course we also train abroad. And one of the things that we do is that we post experts abroad. We have 6 experts which are posted abroad at this point, where they are posted in a given country, in 3 continents: in Latin America, in Asia, and in Africa. But they do a lot in the country where they're posted, but they also work regionally. Another person that you'll be hearing from in a very little while is our agricultural expert posted in New Delhi, who's been there already for 7 years and has been doing a lot of good for India, but also for the relationship and for all of these things that I talked about before: food security, irrigation techniques, and so on. So all in all, when we have these courses in Israel, we have our own training centers, which you see here on the screen. And we achieve all of these achievements through them, where we have our in-house capabilities. We also work with other research institutes, universities, and training centers in Israel. And all in all, so we have many partners, but I think that looking at the time, it is better that I'll stop here. I'll stop sharing this for a minute at least, and tell you that probably some of you would want to ask, why do you really do all of this? You say you are committed to the SDGs, you want to share your knowledge with other countries. That is all brilliant, but what's in it for you? And I'll say very clearly, this is a combination. It's a combination of how we see ourselves as a country that is a country that shares and gives, and a country which donates and shares its experience and its capabilities. On the one hand, this is also the vision of our forefathers, be it those who, our ancestors who founded the state of Israel and thought of Mashav, and be it our forefathers, thousands of years ago, which taught us to share, and as they say in the Bible, love thy neighbor, and the world is our village, and we feel that we do this for our friends and partners around the world. And beyond that, that is a wonderful, a development is also a wonderful tool. It helps bringing nations together. It helps us to emphasize the things which are important to us. It helps us working closer with our friends. It's definitely a very useful tool for a foreign ministry. And this is who we are, and this is what we do. So I think at this point, we can talk about Mashav for many hours, but I want to turn this virtual microphone to my colleague Dan Aluf in India, who will tell you about one aspect of long-term projects that we do. He himself is a long-term project. He's just finishing now 7 years in India, but he will tell you about our centers of excellence in India. We have such centers in many countries, but in India, we really reached a very high level. So please, Dan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ambassador Einat, and it is a privilege to share our experience and activity. I would start with the fact that here at Mashav, we have a team that is comprised of 2 local workers and myself and an Israeli colleague. And together, we are actually leading the activity that I will present to you. So I will share my presentation. Is it visible? Thank you.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I will talk about the India-Israel development cooperation in agriculture, and to some extent also in water. When we talk about the cooperation, I think the first thing is really to give the spotlight to the stakeholders. So we are working together with Government of India, represented by Ministry of Agriculture. And as India is a federation, we partner with the state governments across India. And what it is that we do? Actually, we build centers of excellence, which are advanced intensive agriculture farms, that all the mission is about benefiting the local farmer. So within this farm, we tailor Israeli novel technologies, agricultural novel technologies, and always we make sure they are addressing and targeting the local conditions, but yet gaining a value and really bringing a new added value to what it is that we do. The Center of Excellence has actually 3 goals. One is to generate knowledge. So when we generate knowledge, we want it to be an applicable knowledge. We, unlike the academia, we want to show things that work. So it is really bringing and generating knowledge that the farmer can use. The second pillar is to demonstrate the best practices. So we want to be very applicable, and a farmer walking into a center of excellence of Mashav will be able to see and touch an orchard or a greenhouse that is really growing agriculture, and therefore believe what he sees. The third pillar is extension. How do we move this knowledge we generated? How do we move the demonstration and have it in the farmer's field? So we are doing a lot of trainers, like Ambassador Einat was presenting, and we actually train in average 150,000 farmers every year in India. When we look at the map of India, so we are currently having 29 operational centers across India. This makes this activity the largest of its kind in the world for Mashav, and it is also the largest cooperation that Government of India has with any other bilateral government outside. So a center of excellence is a place we meet. We meet and we interact. we first of all produce seedlings and plants. So this is one of the nurseries we have in a center of excellence, but in each of the 29 centers that we have already, we have an advanced high-tech greenhouse that generates millions of seedlings and benefits a farmer just by doing it. The second pillar is to introduce Israeli varieties and the best practices. So here you can see the Israeli cucumber that we show in the different centers. We of course present drip irrigation, which is an Israeli innovation, but we show it not only as a system of irrigation that can reach a very high water use efficiency numbers, but we show the full solution. So how to install and how to irrigate, when and how much. So we really generate the full solution. We also bring new technologies to the hands of the farmer. In this example, we use satellite imaging to accurate our irrigation. So actually every farm in India has an Israeli solution that is based on satellite imaging that generates precise irrigation. We talk about fertigation. So how do we bring nutrients through the drip irrigation? And we do knowledge transfer, as I presented at the beginning. So all of this together is currently what we do in every center across India. The next stage, the way forward, is to establish full villages. So moving from the center of excellence, we want to select villages of excellence. And these villages will be also across India, 75 villages. This is what we are aiming to do. And we will have both infrastructure in the village, capacity building, and market linkage. Because we believe, like again, Ambassador Inat was presenting, it's about an ecosystem. Because if you want to benefit farmers, it's about really looking at the full picture. And this is where we are standing now and in the next couple of years. So with this, I give you the glimpse of what we do, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dan. I thought that was very interesting, and I encourage all of you, if you want to learn more about this, we'll be happy to answer some questions later, or that we can get you in touch with Dan and the colleagues. Dan, if you could just stop sharing, please.
Yes.
So this was just to give you a taste of some of the long-term projects that we do, but we also are engaged in short-term and smaller projects. And one of the examples I want to share with you is some of the support that we give to our graduates, and in this case in Kazakhstan. I was very delighted and honored to be in Kazakhstan myself a few weeks ago, where I visited some of the projects that Mashav is supporting. And that's why I've asked one of our prominent graduates in Kazakhstan to join us. So may I introduce to you Ms. Golmira Parmisheva, who is an entrepreneur and founder of Kishkentai Project, a very interesting project talking about education and children with disabilities and so on and so forth. And I'll be very delighted if you could share something with us this afternoon or evening for you in Kazakhstan. Please, Golmira.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Ilan Ajzen, for opportunity. Hello, everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Golmira Parmisheva. I'm from Kazakhstan. I'm social entrepreneur and founder of Kishkentai Project. We are producing unique, eco-friendly speech and sensory toys for children with special needs. 2 months ago, I became a Mashav graduate in business development. I received a lot of experience and knowledge. We completed business, psychology, networking, finance, marketing, and much more. I've already started to share with my knowledge with my colleague in Kazakhstan, and I'm very proud to be a part of Mashav program. With my partners, Gulnar Tolkanbayeva in Kazakhstan, she is Mashav alumnus too. We are made a project and received a grant of $10,000 from Mashav. With Gulnar, we are launching product sensory complexes for children with special needs. And the Kshkinte product also providing jobs people with special needs too. And as the head of Mashav, Ambassador Ilan Ajzen and the Israel ambassador in Kazakhstan, this is Liat Wechselman, visited the opening ceremony of inclusive workshop in Almaty city, and it was a great honor for us. Two Mashav alumni creating a product with Israel successful experience in Kazakhstan, and I hope that will be helpful for rehabilitation of children with special needs in Kazakhstan. Thank you for your attention and for opportunity for supporting. Thank you for Mashav program and my mentors who teach me this knowledge. And so about my English, I didn't practice a long time. That's why maybe some worrying right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parmasheva. She's been very modest, as I've seen what they've done together with another Mashav alumni, which, I mean, they never knew each other. They live in very different counties, but they met through the Mashav network. One of them graduated 3 years ago, and she graduated just a couple of months ago. They put together a workshop for special toys for sensory laboratories or special sensory rooms, which help children with autism to develop skills. And the beauty of it is not just what they do for these children. The beauty is that the people who work in this workshop, the people who produce these special toys, are also people with disabilities. And to me, that was very moving to see, two youngsters who are very apparently have disabilities, and they spoke very openly about their challenging life as people with autism. And the fact that they now have a cause, they have a job, they work in this workshop, and they produce products for children with the same problem. I thought that was very moving and very inspirational. And should I also say, I believe this is the first such project of its kind in Kazakhstan. So we're very, very proud to have our graduates involved in this. But be it agriculture or social entrepreneurship or education, or our work together with ladies who are the fisherwomen in a small village in Senegal, for example. This is what we do. We want to work with people to make this a better world. I know it sounds like a cliche, but imagine that this would be your job. You wake up in the morning, you have a budget, you want to make friends around the world, and we're trying to find ways how to make this a better world and help those in need. I think it's a good reason to wake up in the morning. So at this, I will stop and I'll turn the virtual mic back to Lior. And I'm sure some of you will have questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Einat. It was very interesting, and we'll open the floor for questions. And there are a few ways to ask the questions. If your camera is on, please raise your hand. You can either do it physically or through the Zoom app. And if not, you can also send your question via the group chat. Anyone wants to go first? Let me see if...
Lior, I see already 2 questions in the chat, so until you are looking...
on that right now, and we'll start with the first one. Is Mashav present also here in Brazil? In what ways? Or do you have a partnership with Brazilian NGOs?
Well, that's a great question. I'm happy to say that one of our 6 experts around the world is actually posted in Brazil. He's posted in our embassy in Brasilia. And I can also tell you quietly that the incoming new ambassador to Brazil, Mr. Ambassador Daniel Sonnenschein, is actually working in Mashav right now. So he's very close to Mashav and understands our ways. And yes, we'll be happy to be working with various NGOs. And whoever asked, you could contact the embassy, either ask for the Mashav expert or wait a couple of months until the new ambassador, who is a real expert in Mashav ways and policies, and talk to him. If you're a journalist, come and interview him about Mashav. I'm sure he would be delighted to participate.
Thank you. And still in Latin America, good morning. It's from Mexico. From Colombia. This is Henry from APC Colombia. Could Mashav provide an equipment as a donation to obtain water from the air for poor people in Guajira here in Colombia?
Well, the answer is yes. I'm putting my glasses on because I'm trying to see in my WhatsApp where we donated exactly this a month ago. Our embassy had a very similar project to what you're asking me about, sir. It is, I'm trying to see, we donated these very machines. I'm trying to think where, but it was somewhere in an arid area in Colombia. I should look it up if anybody wants to, contact me later and I can tell you where, but we've done this. We already contributed 2 such machines in Colombia. This is a wonderful Israeli innovation. I'm very proud of it. You bring in this equipment, which is the size of a very small car. You operate it and you get, if I'm not mistaken, 200 liters in 24 hours or maybe even less. And that is very impressive. And we've donated this in Colombia. If your region would like to see some more assistance, please contact our embassy there. The ambassador is very keen on such work.
And a question from India. Apart from agriculture, what other sector is Mashav working in collaboration with the Indian government and independently in India? Maybe it's a question for Dan.
Yeah, I would prefer that Dan, we could direct questions also to Dan and to Gulnira, so with pleasure, but please, Dan, take the floor.
Thank you. So definitely, I would say that as was presented before, Mashav is working across the board. We do have on-the-ground activity in agriculture and water. So in water, there is a flagship project that we do in Bundelkhand, in UP, which is about showing the full cycle of water with Israeli water technologies and water management. And beyond this, we are very proactive in bringing Indian participants to train in Israel in all the fields of education, of innovation, of health. So I think when you look at the big picture, I think most of the trainees that come to Mashav globally come from India. So we are very present. And I would suggest to follow our activity or on our website or through direct contact with us. We are very much available. So this is my reply. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a few questions, regional ones as well. What are Mashav projects in Southeast Asia? And maybe I'll go on and ask the next one here. The ambassador, Noach Gal-Gendler, recently visited 3 centers in cantons in Bosnia and Herzegovina with diplomats from Croatia. Is there any concrete deals regarding projects, it's the jumping projects here in Bosnia and Herzegovina?
Well, we're working closely with the Bosnian government in this regard. There are many ways by which Mashav is involved. We do, as I said, training courses and projects. We also do collaborations with the private sector. That is some kind of a triangular collaboration in which we work together with local governments and the private sector, with Israeli companies that bring in technologies, and we put together the right agreements and packages that allow us to develop very big projects. So I know that the Bosnian government is working with us in this regard, but we're always looking for good ideas. And if you would like to offer them to our embassy over there, we would be delighted to look into them.
Thank you, Nasser. And if you don't mind, I have a personal question for Mira. I was intrigued by your story. Can you please tell us what's the first time you heard of Mashav? How did you decide? What was your idea when you decided to come to a Mashav course, to be a Mashav alumni? And did you have any vision or image of Israel before that, and how did it change after the course?
Okay, I'm just finished and stay graduated Mashav just 2 months, but we started our project 3 years ago. I have a son with autism, and we started to correct it and help for my son. After that, we created unique sets for moms, and just one idea. It was just one idea, help to other moms to help for the autism children. And we have in Almaty workshop when we provided with job other people with autism, and that people can work and make money in Kshkentai project now. And that right now we have an idea with Gulnar Tolkambayeva. She's graduated Mashav alumni too, and she's sensory integration ergotherapy, and we make an idea to help not just for moms, and for especially center for specialists, and we make a professional how will it be in English character sensory complex for the other children. If I will not enough answer for that question, you can write. I will prepare it answer, and I will do all my best to help it for us to. I really didn't practice 10 years. And that's why I have just body language now. So sorry.
You're doing great, Gulmira.
The story tells itself. Thank you so much. Really, it's very inspiring. And there's one last question in the chat. Let me see where it was. Going forward, sorry, let's mute everyone.
Where you find it, I know it's a question for Dan. I'll just say to our Colombian participant here that the project I was talking about was in the area of La Guajira Azul. So FYI, you could look it up. There was lots of publications in this regard. Now back to you, Leo, and the question about India.
Yeah, I think it was about India. Yeah, this is for Dan. Going forward on your commendable work in agriculture in India, would you be open to explore community-based communication to promote replication of your good practice among marginal farmers? Dan?
So definitely, as I said, our way forward is to tackle comprehensive, complete villages. And within this, we'll look both on the infrastructure, the capacity building, and the market linkage. So we can really see that the investment will carry return on investment, because we believe that development, it's about economical sustainability, it's about putting in place different approaches. Maybe in the next stage, we will also cooperate training in education and social aspect and innovation, because again, a village is more than just the farmers that comprise it. So I feel that Mashav has a very long and deep way forward, and I believe that the cooperation that we have with India that they are leading this partnership will carry the sustainability we are feeling today and will strengthen this cooperation in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. And this concludes the press conference for this evening. Thank you all for joining us. For those of you who asked us how to contact Mashav, the best way to do that is to contact the embassy, the Israeli embassy in your country. They are probably the ones invited you for this conference. If not, you can also Google Mashav. You'll find a lot of information about our projects, about the courses we have in Israel or in different places around the world, and about the experience that Mashav have also with cooperation with other countries in developing areas. I want to again thank Nat and Dan and Golmira for joining us and for telling us all those stories, and for all of you around the world. This is a temporary issue. We would love to see you back in Israel very soon after the COVID crisis will be over, because as great as Zoom is, the feeling of Israel is very special. So hope to see you here in Jerusalem soon. We would love to host you, tell you more about Mashav and other projects of the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And till then, shalom from Jerusalem.
To add, Leo, that if you want to learn more about us, please follow us in the social media. Look at Mashav, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, Facebook. We're very active in many languages. Follow us. We'll be happy to tell you more. It's another way to contact us. And it will tell you a lot more about our activities. Thank you, and shalom from Jerusalem. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you,
very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Gulmira.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dan. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.